Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with your host, me, Rosie DeCandia. How are you, my friends? I hope you're all doing well and staying sane and healthy and all that good stuff. So, my friends, we're just going to move along because I can keep talking and talking and talking, and I won't bore you. So, let's get back to our Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales by the Brothers Grimm. This episode, we will be reading The Valiant Little Tailor. One summer's morning, a little tailor was sitting on his table by the window. He was in good spirits and sewed with all his might. Then came a peasant woman down the street crying, "Good jams, cheap! Good jams, cheap!" Oh, I could go for some bread and jam and a little bit of butter, or bread, cream cheese, and jelly. Have you ever had that? Anyway, this rang pleasantly in the tailor's ears. He stretched his delicate head out of the window and called, "Come up here, dear woman. Here you will get rid of your goods." The woman came up the 3 steps to the tailor with a heavy basket, and he made him unpack all of the pots for him. He inspected all of them, lifted them up, put his nose to them, and at length said, "The jam seems to me to be good. So weigh me out 3 ounces, dear woman, and if it comes to 1/4 pound, I will not complain." The woman, who had hoped to find a good sale, gave him what he desired, but went away quite angry and grumbling. Can you believe that shit? He's like, "Oh, you're going to make a good sale. Made her do all that shit." I hate people like that. And then they just buy a jam. It's like when you go into a store and someone's wasting the salesperson's time, and then they're like, "Yeah, thank you, I'm just eye shopping. Or I'll just buy that little trinket for $5. Don't do that. That's wasting someone's time. But I digress. Just don't make them go out of their way. Just get what you need. He just could have said, "Give me some jam, bitch," and she would have been on. "Now, God bless this jam," cried the little tailor, "and give me health and strength." So he brought the bread out of the cupboard, cut himself a piece right across the loaf, and spread the jam over it. "This won't taste bitter," said he, "but I will finish the jacket before I take a bite." He laid the bread near him, sewed on, and in his joy made bigger and bigger stitches. In the meantime, the smell of the sweet jam ascended to the wall where the flies were sitting in great numbers, and they were attracted and descended on it in hosts. "Ho! Who invited you?" said the little tailor, and drove the unbidden guests away. The flies, however, who understood no words, would not be turned away, but came back again in ever-increasing companies. Of course, when you don't succeed, you keep trying and trying again. The little tailor at last lost all patience and got a bit of cloth from the hole under his work table, and saying, "Wait, and I will give it to you," struck it mercilessly on them. When he drew it away and counted, there lay before him no fewer than 7, dead and with legs stretched out. "Are you a fellow of that sort?" said he, and could not help admiring his own bravery. "Are you freaking kidding me? You killed 7 flies. That's brave. The whole town shall know of this." And the little tailor hastened to cut himself a girdle, stitched it, and embroidered on it in large letters, 7 at one stroke. "What, the town," he continued, "the whole world shall hear of it," and his heart wagged with joy like a lamb's tail. Now he's going from the town to the whole world. You see this? This is going to be good. The tailor put on the girdle and resolved to go forth into the world, because he thought his workshop was too small for his valor. Before he went away, he sought about in the house to see if there was anything which he could take with him. However, he found nothing but old cheese, and that he put in his pocket. In front of the door he observed a bird which had caught itself in the thicket. It had to go into his pocket with the cheese. Why did a bird have to go into the pocket with the cheese? Would you be like, "Yeah, I'm going to rescue that bird and I'm going to stick it in my pocket because I might need it for later"? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. But obviously there's a reason for that, so we're just going to go with it. Spirit told him. He had his gut instinct, so he was listening to his gut instinct, okay? That's what we're going to say. Now, he took to the road boldly, and as he was light and nimble, he felt no fatigue. The road led him up a mountain, and when he had reached the highest point of it, there sat a powerful-looking giant about him quite comfortably. The little tailor went bravely up to him, spoke to him, and said, "Good day, comrade. So you are sitting there overlooking the widespread world? I am just on my way there, and want to try my luck. Have you any inclination to go with me?" The giant looked contemptuously at the tailor and said, "You ragamuffin, you miserable creature." "Oh, indeed?" answered the little tailor, and unbuttoned his coat and showed the giant the girdle. "There you may read what kind of man I am." The giant read 7 at one stroke, and thought that they had been men whom the tailor had killed, and began to feel a little respect for the tiny fellow. Nevertheless, he wished to try him first, and took a stone in his hand and squeezed it together so that the water dropped out of it. "Do that likewise," said the giant, "if you have strength." "Is that all?" said the tailor. "That is child's play with us," and put his hand into his pocket, brought out the soft cheese, another smart little mofo, and pressed it until the liquid ran out of it. "Faith," said he, "that was good, wasn't it?" The giant did not know what to say, and could not believe it of the little man. Then the giant picked up a stone and threw it so high that the eye could scarcely follow it. "Now, little mite of a man, do that likewise." "Uh-oh." "Well thrown," said the tailor. "But after all, the stone came down to earth again. I will throw one which shall never come back at all. Oh, here we go. And here's why the bird is important." And he put his hand into his pocket, took out the bird, and threw it into the air. The bird, delighted with its liberty, rose, flew away, and did not come back. "How does that shot please you, comrade?" asked the tailor. "You can certainly throw," said the giant. "But now we will see if you are able to carry anything properly." He took the little tailor to a mighty oak tree, which lay there felled on the ground, and said, "If you are strong enough, help me to carry the tree out of the forest." I'm not going to lie. This little tailor is not only, well, he's not really valiant, but he's a cunning little motherfucker. And he is certainly playing his cards. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think it's interesting. Something told him to take the bird and the cheese, right? Because he knew he'd need them. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. "Readily," answered the little man. "You take the trunk on your shoulders, and I will raise up the branches and twigs. After all, they are the heaviest." Oh, he's a good liar, too. The giant took the trunk on his shoulder, but the tailor seated himself on a branch. And the giant, who could not look round, had to carry away the whole tree, and the little tailor to boot. The tailor was quite merry and happy, and whistled the song, "Three tailors rode far from the gate, as if carrying the tree were child's play." The giant, after he had dragged the heavy burden part of the way, could go no further, and cried, "Oh, I shall have to let the tree fall." The tailor sprang nimbly down, seized the tree with both arms as if he had been carrying it, and said to the giant, "You are such a great fellow, and yet cannot even carry the tree?" They went on together, and as they passed a cherry tree, the giant laid hold of the top of the tree where the ripest fruit was hanging, bent it down, put it into the tailor's hand, and bade him eat. But the little tailor was much too weak to hold the tree, and when the giant let it go, it sprang back again, and the tailor was hurried into the air with it. When he had fallen down again without injury, because he was nimble, the giant said, "What is this? Have you not strength enough to hold the weak twig?" "There is no lack of strength," answered the little tailor. "Do you think that could be anything to a man who was struck down 7 at one blow? I leapt over the tree because the huntsmen are shooting down there in the thicket. Jump as I did, if you can do it." He's smart. He's a liar. He's smart. He truly is. Oof. The giant made the attempt, but could not get over the tree, and remained hanging in the branches, so that in this also the tailor kept the upper hand. The giant said, "If you are such a valiant fellow, come with me into our cavern and spend the night with us." Oh, this drama. The little tailor was willing, and followed him. When they went into the cave, other giants were sitting there by the fire. Oh shit, I wouldn't be going in. My gut would be like, "Get out." And each of them had a roasted sheep in his hand and was eating it. Oh, but he's hungry, so he wants the sheep. The little tailor looked round and thought, "It is much more spacious here than in my workshop." The giant showed him a bed and said he was to lie down in it and sleep. The bed, however, was too big for the little tailor. He did not lie down in it, but crept into a corner. When it was midnight and the giant thought that the little tailor was lying in a sound sleep, he got up, took a great iron bar, cut through the bed with one blow, and thought he had given the runt his finishing stroke. Oh my God, the giant has no morals at all. I mean, they're good together. We got the little tailor who's a liar, and this giant who, brought him to his own death. Okay. With the earliest dawn, the giants went into the forest and had quite forgotten the little tailor, when all at once he walked up to them quite merrily and boldly. The giants were terrified. They were afraid that he would strike them all dead and ran away in a great hurry. This guy really is one lucky little guy. He's like Hans and Luck, but this one ain't a schmuck. The little tailor went onwards, always following his own pointed nose. After he had walked for a long time, he came to the courtyard of a royal palace, and as he felt weary, he lay down on the grass and fell asleep. While he lay there, the people came and inspected him on all sides and read on his girdle, 7 at one stroke. "Ah," said they, "why is the great warrior here in the midst of peace? He must be a mighty lord." They went and announced him to the king, and gave it as their opinion that if war should break out, this would be a weighty and useful man who ought on no account to be allowed to depart. The council pleased the king, and he sent one of his courtiers to the little tailor to offer him military service when he awoke. Can you believe this shit? This guy is putting it out there, and now he's going to be like the head of the military. The ambassador remained standing by the sleeper, waited until he stretched his limbs and opened his eyes, and then conveyed to him this proposal. "For this very reason I have come here," the tailor replied. "I am ready to enter the king's service." He was therefore honorably received, and a special dwelling was assigned him. This little tailor came from this little frickin' workshop. All he did was kill frickin' 7 little flies, and this little rat bastard has beaten out giants. Now he's got a special dwelling, and he's going to head the military in a king's palace. Okay, yeah, you know what I say? We're going to talk about this. Don't worry. We're going to get on this. The soldiers, however, was set against the little tailor and wished him 1,000 miles away because they knew he was a bullshit man. They knew it. "What is to be the end of this?" they said amongst themselves. "If we quarrel with him and he strikes about him, 7 of us will fall at every blow. Not one of us can stand against him." They came therefore to a decision, went to the king, and begged for their dismissal. "We are not prepared," said they, "to stay with the man who kills 7 at one stroke." The king was sorry for that. For the sake of one, he should lose all his faithful servants, wished that he had never set eyes on the tailor, and would willingly get rid of him again. "You, the king, get rid of him." But he did not venture to give him his dismissal, for he dreaded that he should strike him and all his people dead, and place himself on the royal throne. Yeah, that little fuck would have done that. He'd probably been like, "I'm going to get you all. I'm going to get you now, suckers." He would have done something. He thought about it for a long time, and at last found good counsel. He sent to the little tailor and had him informed that as he was such a great warrior, the king had one request to make to him. In a forest of his country lived 2 giants who caused great mischief with their robbing, murdering, ravaging, and burning, and no one could approach them without putting himself in danger of death. Ravaging, they means raping the women. That's what they mean. Terrible. If the tailor conquered and killed these 2 giants, he would give him his only daughter to wed, and half of his kingdom as a dowry. Likewise, 100 horsemen should go with him to assist him. That would indeed be a fine thing for a man like me, thought the little tailor. One is not offered a beautiful princess and half a kingdom every day of one's life. "Oh, yes," he replied. "I will soon subdue the giants, and do not require the help of the 100 horsemen to do it. He who can hit 7 with one blow has no need to be afraid of 2. The little tailor went forth, and the 100 horsemen followed him. When he came to the outskirts of the forest, he said to his followers, "Just stay waiting here. I alone will soon finish off the giants." Then he bounded into the forest and looked about right and left. After a while, he perceived both giants. They lay sleeping under a tree and snored so that the branches waved up and down. The little tailor, not idle, gathered 2 pocketfuls of stones, and with these climbed up the tree. When he was halfway up, he slipped down by a branch until he just sat above the sleepers, and then let one stone after another fall on the breast of one of the giants. For a long time the giant felt nothing, but at last he awoke, pushed his comrade, and said, "Why are you knocking me?" "You must be dreaming," said the other. "I am not knocking you." They laid themselves down to sleep again, and then the tailor threw a stone down on the second. "What is the meaning of this?" cried the other. "Why are you pelting me?" "I am not pelting you," answered the first, growling. They disputed about it for a long time, but as they were weary, they let the matter rest, and their eyes closed once more. The little tailor began his game again, picked out the biggest stone, and threw it with all his might on the breast of the first giant. "That is too much," cried he, and sprang up like a madman, and pushed his companion against the tree until it shook. The other paid him back in the same coin, and they got into such a rage that they tore up the trees and belabored each other so long that at last they both fell down dead on the ground at the same time. Then the little tailor leapt down. Oh, did they die from beating each other, or did they each get a heart attack at the same time? And this guy is smart. I mean, we want him on our team, even though he's a liar, but we want him on, well, we have many liars on our team. Let's not get started on that. "It is a lucky thing," said he, "that they did not tear up the tree on which I was sitting, or I should have had to spring onto another like a squirrel. But we tailors are nimble." He drew out his sword and gave each one of them a couple of thrusts in the breast, and then went out to the horsemen and said, "The work is done. I have given both of them their finishing stroke, but it was hard work. They tore up trees in their sore need and defended themselves with them. But all that is no purpose when a man like myself comes, who can kill 7 at one blow." "But are you not wounded?" asked the horseman. "You need not concern yourself about that," answered the tailor. "They have not bent one hair of mine." The horseman would not believe him, and rode into the forest. There they found the giants swimming in their blood, and all round about lay the torn up trees. This tailor is freaking good. I mean, at this point, he could run for president. That's enough of my political comment. The little tailor demanded of the king the promised reward. He, however, repented of his promise, and again thought of how he could get rid of the hero. "Before you receive my daughter and the half of my kingdom," said he to him, "you must perform one more heroic deed. In the forest roams a unicorn, which does great harm, and you must catch it first." "Oh, the last unicorn. Unicorns are beautiful animals. They're not mean." But I guess, here we go. "I fear one unicorn, still less than 2 giants. 7 at one blow is my kind of affair." He took a rope and an axe with him, went forth into the forest, and again bade those who were sent with him to wait outside. He had to seek long. The unicorn soon came towards him and rushed directly at the tailor, as if it would spear him on his horn without more ceremony. "Softly, softly, it can't be done as quickly as that," said he, and stood still and waited until the animal was quite close, and then sprang nimbly behind the tree. The unicorn ran against the tree with all its strength and struck its horn so fast in the trunk that it had not enough strength to draw it out again, and thus it was caught. "Now I have got him," said the tailor, and came out from behind the tree and put the rope around its neck, and then with his axe he hewed the horn out of the tree, and when all was ready he led the beast away and took it to the king. This guy is good. This guy really is smart. He's good for like military in terms of how to set shit up. Yeah, he's smart in that way. You can make him head of defense. The king still would not give him the promised reward and made a third demand. Before the wedding, the tailor was to catch him a wild boar that made great havoc in the forest, and the huntsmen should give him their help. "Willingly," said the tailor. "That is child's play." He did not take the huntsmen with him into the forest, and they were well pleased that he did not, for the wild boar had several times received them in such a manner that they had no inclination to lie in wait for him. When the boar perceived the tailor, it ran at him with foaming mouth and whetted tusks, and was about to throw him to the ground, but the active hero sprang into a chapel which was near, and up to the window at once, and in one bound out again. The boar ran in after him, but the tailor ran around outside and shut the door behind it. And then the raging beast, which was much too heavy and awkward to leap out of the window, was caught. The little tailor called the huntsman there, that they might see the prisoner with their own eyes. The hero went to the king, who was now, whether he liked it or not, obliged to keep his promise. And the king gave him his daughter. Of course, they're always giving up their daughters, even though he doesn't want to. That's all we were, like cattle, like sheep. That's it, giving up his daughter and the half of his kingdom. Had he known that it was no warlike hero, but a little tailor who was standing before him, it would have made his heart even less happy than it was. The wedding was held with great magnificence and small joy, and out of a tailor, a king was made. After some time, the young queen heard her husband say in his dreams at night, "Boy, make me the doublet and patch the pantaloons, or else I will wrap the yard measure over your ears." Then she discovered in what state of life the young lord had been born, and the next morning complained of her wrongs to her father and begged him to help her get rid of her husband, who was nothing else but a tailor. The king comforted her and said, "Leave your bedroom door open this night, and my servant shall stand outside, and when he has fallen asleep shall go in, bind him, and take him on board a ship, which shall carry him into the wide world." The woman was satisfied with this. "Oh, this is devious. The tailor deserves this." But the king's armor-bearer, who had heard all, was friendly with the young lord, there you go, and informed him of the whole plot. See, this tailor's a lucky motherfucker. "I'll put a screw into that business," said the little tailor. At night, he went to bed with his wife at the usual time, and when she thought that he had fallen asleep, she got up, opened the door, and then lay down again. The little tailor, who was only pretending to be asleep, began to cry out in a clear voice, "Boy, make me the doublet and patch me the pantaloons, or I will wrap the yard measure over your ears. I slayed 7 at one blow, I killed 2 giants, I brought away 1 unicorn, and caught a wild boar, and now I am expected to fear those who were standing outside my room?" When these men heard the tailor speaking thus, they were overcome by a great dread, and ran as if the wild hunter were behind them, and none of them would venture anything further against him. So, the little tailor was a king, and remained one, to the end of his life. The end. The little tailor was a little smart, cunning son of a bitch. That's what he was. And he got everything he wanted. He didn't get anything he deserved, but maybe he did deserve it, because you know what, my friends? What he put out there, he put it out there. He created it. He manifested that shit. And you're going to say, how did he manifest it? I'll tell you how he manifested it. You ready for this? Okay. So remember when he killed the 7 flies and he said, "I'm going to go out and tell the world"? He didn't need to put flies or men. He just let people assume what they were. He wasn't lying about it, right? He said 7 at one blow. And then people just assumed that it was 7 people or 7 men. But I will say this, because of his small little feet, he thought he was bigger than anything. So he went out into the world saying, "I'm going to exclaim this to the world." And he went with such confidence and knowingness, thinking he was so valiant and so amazing that the whole world opened up to him. Now, with that being said, yeah, we're not going to talk about the lying aspect, because the lying aspect, we don't get rewarded for lying. I mean, he was going to get killed. He just got lucky there was somebody that listened and, told him the truth. But the point is this, the truth does come out in the end. It did come out in the end, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to focus on the fact of his mindset. He believed he was valiant. He believed the world needed to hear this. And what happened? The world responded. Yeah. So there was opportunities for him to show how valiant he was or strong, but because his mind was strong and he actually could be cunning, and he is deceptive, but he was thoughtful in the sense of he knew how he could get the giant to think he was strong, even though they tried to kill him. I mean, he escaped death a couple times because he was also lucky. But the point was, he put it out there that he was valiant. So everything came to him, and he believed his own bullshit. They say fake it till you make it. We've talked about this. Now, I'm not saying go out there and lie about your gifts and talents, because I don't believe in that. You got to know what your strengths are, and you got to know your weaknesses. And when you can accept both, my friends, and accept it graciously and not be conceited about what you're good at, you will manifest the things that are in your best interests and things that you never thought possible. So once again, this is more of a mind check into what are you thinking about your gifts? Are you really confident? Are you secure about the things that you are good at? And do you put that forth into the world? Because if you're going to stay back and not believe in your gifts, and I'm talking your gifts, and your gifts can be anything. Good organizer, accountant, you're good at law, you're a singer, you're an actor, you're a painter. I don't care. It's not about what the gifts are. But we all got something. But are you truly believing in your gifts? Because when you don't believe in your gifts, it's very hard for things to come to you because you're very hesitant. But when you stay true to, like, you know what? I believe in myself. I know that this is my gift, and I give it willingly and graciously to the world. But you're not conceited, because there's a fine line. When he became a little conceited, because he was lying, when they finally said it, they thought, when they said it was 7 men, he never corrected them, as we know. But the point is, it's a mindset. The most successful people, I've said this before, they come from, most of them, impoverished lives. They have terrible upbringings. Not that their families are bad, but some of them came from very poor, very bad backgrounds, in the sense of they started with nothing, but they believed in themselves. And that's the thing. It's about believing in yourself and not getting deterred or, downhearted or disappointed when you feel like you have failed at something. Because trying for something, to me, is already a success. This Tailor went out into the world. He had really nothing to boast about, but he thought he did, but he didn't care. Because he believed in himself so much, he went out into the world, and the world responded. The same thing with us. When we don't believe in ourselves and we don't feel good enough to display our gifts or share our gifts with the world, which is also not right, because when you have gifts, you should share them with the world, because you're there to give them to people. You have them for a reason, and you need to be grateful, and you're being grateful is sharing them with the world so the world can receive it, can receive your gifts. So I want you to think about the gifts that you have and the gifts that, that are you truly believing in them, and start really looking at yourself. If you weren't you, okay, I'm going to put it to you this way, and you was the person that you're not, has the gifts that you have, how would you treat them? What would you say about them? So then I'd like you to say about you, wow, my name is, I'll say the person, your name is John. John, you know what? He's known, he's really great at hair cutting. Oh my God, he's such an amazing stylist. I love what he does to people's hair. You speak, it sounds weird. I don't know why this is hitting to me, but I know it sounds like a third person. But the thing is, we have to give ourselves the love and confidence that we help others get. So if you can look at yourself outside of yourself and become self-aware and say, oh my God, look at these gifts I have, and how can I share them with the world? That's what I'm talking about. It's another little challenge. Go figure. I didn't think about that. This is all coming to me as I spitball, because when I do this on the podcast, I have different things I come up with. But I think it's really important for us to know our gifts, to believe in our gifts, and then be ready to share it with the world. Now, if you are developing a gift, different story, and you're like, I'm not ready to share it with the world, that's fine too. But I will say this. If you're feeling uncomfortable, but you are ready to share, social media is a great place to start sharing your gifts. I know you're going to say there are trolls and stuff, but honey, there are haters and trolls in everything you do. And even when you are successful, there are more trolls that come out. But what I'm going to say is there are so many people I get exposed to on social media that have these amazing talents and gifts that are probably making livings off of it now. And their gifts, I just saw the other day, this guy makes these beautiful, he took Billie Eilish, the singer, and Kanye West, and he made them into these clay dolls, but they look exact to the feature, everything as the person. And I saw that because it was on social media. So what I'm going to encourage you is start looking at yourself and your gifts outside of yourself and say, wow, if I wasn't that person, what would I say and how would I encourage them? And guess what? Start encouraging yourself and start acting upon it. Because let me tell you, the world will open up for you. It doesn't happen immediately, and sometimes it does happen immediately, but you don't just do it for that. You do it because you have these gifts, and they were given to you, however way you feel, or you fine-tuned them, or you worked for years on these gifts. Why wouldn't you want the world to see it? You should share the beauty of your life, share the beauty of your gifts with the world. It's such a beautiful thing. I love when I see people create something, craft something that I'm like, oh my God, I don't have that gift. And it's okay. It's not jealousy. It's more like, I don't have it, but I'm in awe of seeing somebody have that gift, and I'm so glad they're sharing that and letting me see it. So I'm going to give you an obligation. to share your shit with the world. And why not? And do it with light, love, and gratitude. All right, my friends, I'm really going off on a tear here, but I really think it's important. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that whatever gifts you possess are enough, and you are enough. And when you are ready, please start sharing them with the world. Share them in the ways that you feel comfortable, because what's going to start happening, more and more people are going to get in tune with your gifts, and more things are going to come to you. And the things that you might have done as a hobby that are gifts, but you're not earning money with right now. Hello? My podcast, my web series, I don't know. Hello? Because I want to be an inspirational speaker one day. Who knows? Comedian, who knows? Whatever the point is this. Someone might come across it, and someone might just give you that phone call and that opportunity you never thought possible. And then you'll be earning your living, doing something you love, and sharing your gifts. All right, my friends, on that note, I'm wishing you a blessed day, sending you so much love, light, and peace, and blessings, always, always blessings and love. And knowing that you already are enough, and you are worthy, and that right here, right now, magic is all around. So accept the magic, create the magic, and be the magic. And until we read again. Peace. You know when they take the cane to take you off the thing? There's the alarm. It's like they're sounding the alarm. Get that bitch off. There you go. There's the alarm. Gotta go. Peace.